welcome to the autumn 2024 season of Tansson Talks. It is nothing short of an absolute honor to be here hosting and producing the show. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and welcome today's guest, Joyce. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited to have you. And so, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, honestly. It's been a little busy, but doing well. And so happy to be here.
Yeah, I know it's such a it's an honor to have you. I'm so glad that you are doing well as we're entering this fall season here. But yeah, and so I want to go ahead and allow for you to go ahead and introduce yourself for the watching and listening audience here today before we get started.
Of course. So, I'm Jace Garcia. I am based in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I am a strategic communication student doing a minor in public relations in Universidad del Sagrado Corazón here in San Juan. I'm also president of my PRSA chapter.
Well, that's awesome. Like I said, well, I'm just so excited to, like I said, to speak with you and to get to know you a little bit during this discussion. And so, first of all, I know you said you just started your semester of your classes. So, how's everything been going for you thus far?
It's been going pretty well. I am already at a point where I'm taking a little more advanced classes, which could be a challenge, but I've been taking to it very well. I've also been looking for ways to prioritize my academic success, which has been good up until now, but I feel like everyone can always do a little bit more for their classes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's sometimes a tough, balancing act trying to sort of like prepare yourself for like those more like advanced and rigorous classes, especially like with the time. But sometimes like early on in the semester, it's like, yeah, it's like that the time of figuring out like which classes do you think might take more work, and then which ones maybe a little bit easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I know sometimes it's like, yeah, some classes seem a little, easier than others, whereas others are a bit more difficult. But overall, I'm glad that you are having a great start to the semester.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I actually did want to start, with asking about, your role as your chapter president for PRSSA. So how long? Well, I know you said since last year, but how has the process been of being the president of your chapter, and had you always aspired to want to be president of it?
Well, the journey has definitely been a long, rough one, but nothing that I could ever regret. I've loved being president. I've been president since 2023, right after being vice president for a semester. It was definitely a challenge because my chapter is still building up again. After the pandemic, the chapter had basically gone back to zero. We had to start all over again, and it's just been a process of building it back up again. It's been super good. I every day feel quite proud about just how far the chapter has been able to get from where it started, and I hope to keep being able to build it up more in the time I have left as president.
That's like I said, well, that's amazing that like I said that you had that opportunity and were able to be, of course, vice president right before that, and so yeah, and overall, like, how long had you known about PRSSA before joining it?
Well, I was a pretty nosy high schooler. So at some point in high school, I did start looking up, okay, what can I get into once I do start college? And PSSA had popped up. I wasn't too aware of what PSSA was. I just know I wanted to be in it. And then once I got into college, that's kind of when I was like, okay, this is the moment I need to find out what it is. And I got an orientation, I went to a few meetings, and here I am.
Well, that's certainly, like I said, great that you were able to figure that out. Yeah, I mean, ahead of time before even entering college. And I know, like for myself, I'm very much a future planner, and I love like details and learning more about that. And so, like, I research anything and everything, long before it happens, even if it's just a remote possibility. So I 100% understand that. But yeah, and so overall, like, what would you say that you've been able to do during your time as both vice president then, yeah, president now? I know you said that you're currently working to, of course, rebuild the chapter after the pandemic.
Well, it was a lot of my focus was directed towards just building up the membership because at some point we only had I'd say around 5 members. But from there, we've been able to build up to 30, I think is where we're at right now. Cute. And outside of that, we've been definitely working on membership loyalty. I've been making a very big effort to try to get them to be more involved with national, because a big problem we have as an international chapter is that it's a little bit more of a disconnect between our local chapter and PRSSA as a national organization. But it's definitely in the works.
Well, I'm glad that, like I said, that you've been able to, I mean, to sort of one build up membership, but then also to, to create that relationship with the, with the national branch of PRSSA. And so, would you say that that had been like a easy task, or like what would you say are some of the work that you put in, you and your team, of course, have put in to sort of make that connection?
It's definitely been a challenge because it's a lot of making sure they know what we're talking about. It's basically the same position I was in at some point. You go into it without knowing, and then it's when you find out everything, and that's when you decide if you really want to be there. So my team is amazing. They've been also putting in so much work in just making it happen. I have my team also involving themselves a lot more nationally, which I feel like is a huge accomplishment for me and for them too.
That's outstanding. And I remember you actually wrote an article for the PRSSA Progressions blog about some of the your chapter's involvement within PRSSA.
Yes, I did. That was, I think, last semester, and it was honestly a huge opportunity, huge honor for me.
And so, what did it mean, for you personally to be able to, I mean, to make sure that your chapter is able to be represented, especially at the national level? And I believe that your chapter also was able to attend the leadership assembly.
Yes, so honestly, it means so much to me that our chapter can be represented at a national level. We're the only chapter active in Puerto Rico and in the whole Caribbean. So I definitely make it a big point to just be there, to be seen. And at the leadership assembly, it was definitely a feat to get there the 2 times we were able to attend, but I feel like it's been an opportunity to really expel our chapter forward. And also, like at a personal level, I've developed myself so much as a leader just going to the leadership assembly. I've learned so much and made incredible connections. So I definitely think that the leadership assembly has been a high mark of my whole trajectory.
That's outstanding. I'm so glad that was it that you had that opportunity, and I guess were you able to like connect with other chapters, especially other Latin America chapters?
Yes, I have been networking with quite a few chapters, at least in the US chapters. I have had quite a connection with the California ones. And at a more Latin American level, I have been able to very much strengthen those relationships with the Argentinian chapter and the Colombian chapter, same with the Peru chapter. At least those we have very big connections. We do a lot of events together, and I've been able to connect with some of the national members from those chapters, such as Milagros and Theo. But it's definitely been a key to just strengthening the relationship between us as Latin American chapters.
I love that, and I'm so glad that was said that you all had that opportunity. I said to be there at that national stage to get the recognition that you'll have. I mean, that you will definitely deserve, but then also to connect with each other and the other chapters throughout PRSSA. And I think it's just such a great organization that allows for these amazing opportunities.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, and taking a step back though, so yeah, so have you always been interested in wanting to pursue like strategic communications in the communication field as a whole?
See, this is a funny story anytime anyone asks, because for the longest time, I was going to go in a complete opposite route. I was going to go into the sciences. I was very much headstrong going into neuropsychology, and if not, I wanted to do something related to genetics. But it was, I think, later in high school that I found out what public relations was. I had a few teachers talking to me about communications, And once I really immersed myself in the research about that field, I was in love. It just made sense for me. It was a multifaceted field, just like me. I am a very multifaceted person. I love things that I can do so many much more stuff with. And I just resonated, and it's been a great route for now.
I love it, and but you could always do public relations stuff for for genetics labs though.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that I said that you were able to. I mean, to find a path that worked, a little bit more for you. And so, at what point was it that you were, that you truly like solidified, that this is the path you wanted to go on, and the university you wanted to attend?
So I think it was in my last year of high school. I was definitely a little on the okay, where do I go from here? What university? What specialization? And I went to a tour within my university. My university is said to be like the number one for communications. I just was a little wary about it. But they did give us a tour, and it was a very hands on, practice based tour. So we got to do a little bit of practice in every little lab they have for each field of communication. And that's the moment I knew, like, okay, wait, this is for me. This is the right place. I got to see like everything they offered, association and clubs wise, same as their curriculum. And that's kind of when I knew I needed to do whatever I was going to study in that university. And once I did start in the university, I think it was by my first year, I took a public relations class. That was a whole new world for me. I was able to work. It was a hypothetical client, but it did end up in real implications. And that was like, I hope I was able to do this for the rest of my life.
I love it that I mean that reaction from doing that assignment was able to to help you see like this is where you need to be, and so I'm so glad that that it really worked out for you like that. And is your university close by, or or some distance from where you lived?
It's actually super close. It's not even 5 minutes away from where I live.
Well, that certainly must be, like I said, nice to at least be within the same area that you're already familiar with, and and to be right there.
Yes, it's definitely so well. I've lived here in this area my whole life. So being able to continue with such a big chapter of my life in the same area is very big and important for me.
That's amazing. And like I said, but as you've been progressing throughout, your college journey, and even, your professional journey, starting up, of course, with, not just PRSSA, but, finding more opportunities, to advance yourself and not just the academics. So how has that been for you, like with the progression, both academically and personally?
Definitely academically, I found that studying what I'm studying has been a challenge for me, but in the best way possible. I've been able to discover parts of me that maybe needed a bit more work, and others that I didn't know were a strength for me, but they were. And personally, I definitely feel like I've developed so much within just studying this and my journey through college. It's just been incredible in the way that I've seen myself grow and change and be closer to the professional I'm going to become.
That's outstanding. And yeah, and speaking of the the professional that you want to become, so based off of your experiences now, do you know the trajectory that you want to go on? Yeah, throughout the remainder part of your university experience and then beyond.
Yeah, so I am planning on doing a few internships in the next following months. I've already started doing a little jobs here and there within events. I recently was able to work with the press in an Olympic qualifying tournament here in Puerto Rico, which was a huge honor. It was an amazing experience. And after that, I'm just going to get a little more experience under my belt, and so I can proceed to get my license in public relations, which is a requirement over here in Puerto Rico. And I will be planning towards going agency at least in the near future.
That's outstanding, and yeah, congratulations on being able to get some of those opportunities already, like with the Olympics qualifying match. How was that for you?
It was an insane opportunity. It came basically out of nowhere. I was a bit worried about it at the beginning because I thought I wasn't a sports person. Turns out I am. But it was an amazing experience. I was able to work with press locally and press from all around the world. And I was also able to have insane people, like people who are so important in our public relations landscape over here in Puerto Rico as co-workers and leaders within what I was doing there at the event. And it was just incredibly amazing.
I love that, and I'm so glad that you were able to have that type of amazing opportunity for the 2024 Olympics. And if you were given the chance for the next for next go around, would you do it again?
Definitely.
I'm certainly glad, like I said, to hear that. And so, since you mentioned that, like I said, that you didn't think you were a sports person prior to that, so has doing this, potentially opened your doors, or your thought to potentially doing more stuff like that opportunity in the future?
Yeah, I have been giving it some hard thoughts. Like, I did really like that experience. So I will be seeing if I do more sports communications gigs just to see if I really want to be in that field.
That's amazing. And yeah, and then of course I know you mentioned sports, but do you know what area of public relations, strategic communication that you'd want to I would to focus in on, or if there's any particular side yet that that you might want to focus on more than others for a specialty?
So I'm definitely still in a position where I'm giving it some thought, but I have seen that I do favor just working with nonprofits as well as lifestyle PR. So I'm seeing where I go from there, but I definitely do favor those up until now.
Well, that's amazing. And out of curiosity, is there a particular reason as to why you prefer those two? I'm just curious.
No, I think it's just the fact that at least nonprofits, I've worked with a lot of nonprofits even before I went into communications. So I definitely know the process of working with them, and I feel like it's just a very rewarding experience when at the end of the day it does get back to the community you're working towards. But outside of that, it just seems to be the one that clicks with me. Same with lifestyle PR.
I love that. And yeah, and I actually want to dive into that too. So since you're mentioning, that you have worked with nonprofits, I mean, in the past. So like, what type of work have you done with nonprofits? And I like that you said that you're motivated by the fact that it directly gives back to the community.
Yeah, so I before college I did start doing some articles. I was doing an article, a two-part article with an organization over here in Puerto Rico called Nuestro Barrio. They basically work with the community Barrio Obrero, which has a very high Dominican population. So my article was basically based on that, just highlighting smaller business owners in the community and also highlighting the nonprofits that benefit them. And I was able to work hand in hand with a lot of them just to see the work they do for the community, what was a shortcoming they had, and what they were progressing in. And it brought so much awareness to the situation. From that, I know that there was a cultural center for the Dominican community in the area that started getting a lot more frequency with students that were going and people from the community that were going. And that just was so rewarding to see. Just I was happy that they were doing so much better after that.
Well, I'm so glad that you're able to, I mean, give back in the community with that regard, especially with those articles. And would you say that doing that experience has helped set you up for like I said, for not just future opportunities, but for what you want to do as a person?
Oh, definitely. I think that it was a great opportunity, and the connections I made from there, I feel like are great just in case I do want to keep working to do other types of improvement, especially right now where I'm at a point where I'm working on a little project towards like geared towards small business owners in the community.
I love that, and certainly as you progress with it, I would definitely love to learn more about that and the amazing work you're doing.
Of course.
But yeah, and so I did want to ask you. So outside of just like I said, PRSSA and your studies, so so what have you been doing personally of over these past few years, and yeah, and working towards, like I said, outside of just yeah the average college and PRSSA, because I know that you're definitely keeping busy.
Oh, definitely. So outside of my studies and PSSA, I do have a job. I work at a shoe store almost full time. There's that, and I have been trying to involve myself in other stuff, just like the little projects I told you, such as like the Olympic qualifying tournament, working on my own like little project geared towards like the small businesses. So it's mostly my work. We'll see the other projects I'm doing.
Well, I'm so glad, like I said, that you're able to have these extra experiences, because I know, at least for me, like in my college experience, that I absolutely love being able to have experiences. Some may have just been for a few hours, others may have been for several weeks and months, but nevertheless, it's so nice to be able to have different experiences you're able to reflect on that help build you as a person and as a professional.
No, definitely.
But yeah, and so overall, like, what would you say has been your favorite part of this whole experience thus far? Whether it's a big thing or a small thing, or even something from your personal life, would you say has been like your favorite experience thus far, having uh, gone through university up to this point?
I think it's definitely the fact that within all of the experience I've had up until now, I've been in all of them for a few years. And the people who work alongside me have been able to just see my progress as a person, as a leader, as a professional. And when those moments come where they're like, you know what, I've seen you do this and you're doing so much good at this point in time, it's just very fulfilling to me to just know that I have been progressing, I have been growing, and I have been doing good in whatever I'm putting my efforts in.
I definitely am glad that, Liza, that you're able to, I mean, to reflect back on your growth, and that you're able to continue, I mean, to grow and foster new, connections and friendships, hopefully, as you're able to continue forward.
No, yeah, I feel like it's just growth and the connections I make along the way are just a big, big priority in everything I do. I feel like it's definitely one of my bigger pillars in life. So being able to just have that is great.
I'm so glad. And I did actually want to ask too. So when you were, of course, within the leadership assembly and for other events that you've had for PRSSA and otherwise. So how has it been for you being able to not just connect with the chapters themselves, but the actual individuals, like within the organization, and within your everyday life, and being able to connect with them and hear a little bit as to what they're up to.
Honestly, I always say this. PRSSA lacks one thing, and it's people who aren't nice. Everyone in PRSSA is so incredibly nice and sweet. It's insane. At least in my experience, the two times I was able to go to leadership assembly, have been fulfilling in the sense that I get to see the people I already know and see the people I've met, at least from the Latin American chapters, since we work together so much, but at a distance. Once we do get to either meet or reunite in the leadership assemblies, it's an incredible moment for us. Milagros is one of the people that I met ever since the first leadership assembly I attended. And I can definitely say that that is a lifelong connection, lifelong friend. She is such an important person, not only for peers to say, but I feel like for most individuals who do meet her. And outside of that, from the US chapters too, I've been able to keep in touch with so many other people. I was able to keep in touch in a little more professional way with Oakley Waddle, for an example, who was the past VP of chapter development, who I feel has done so much for so many people in their PRSSA journey, including myself. So definitely the connections have been great, and I've loved to be able to just continue those connections, even if it's at a distance.
I absolutely love that, and yet all those are definitely amazing, people, and of course, just what's that, amazing people, and definitely I love supporting everything that they are doing, because I mean they're just doing extraordinary work, and truly, I love what you said that yeah, about PRS to say, because I 100% agree. It's always like those I think are some of the nicest people like I've ever met and probably ever will meet, just because of just the warmth that they give every time that they communicate to us or vice versa. So yeah, I 100% agree with you there.
No, definitely.
Yeah, and I saw online, not that long ago that uh, that I know your chapter and and some of the other Latin America chapters are working to hopefully attend Icon 2024.
Yes, it's definitely been a long coming goal and a process for sure. We want to go because some of the other Latin American chapters have been able to attend, but it's definitely a bigger challenge for them, more so financially. And for us, it has been too. Pretty good chapters have not been able to attend up until now. So we're definitely working towards that achievement. Right now, there is a fundraiser running because we are trying to get some of our members to go, and locally we are each in our own chapters working on our separate fundraisers to be able to have more of our members go, because it's definitely a challenge, but we do want to be there. It's such a big goal for us.
Well, I definitely hope that, like I said, that your chapter and the others are able to go. And what would you say it would mean, for you and your chapter, to be able to go, and for anyone that wants to potentially, donate? Why, like, if you had to pitch them, as a little, I guess, PR test, if you need to pitch them as to why you believe that they should donate, what would you tell to them?
At the end of the day, they would be helping grow a PR student's future career. As like Icon is the moment to build your network, to build your future with all the resources you receive there, and it's a one in a life experience. You get to go to California this year, which is crazy, and it's just such the moment to just develop yourself as a professional, as a student, as a career. So being able to give this opportunity to us as Latin American students, where we maybe don't have that same type of opportunities or resources over here, would be a big step in our career to definitely propel ourselves forward.
I love that, and I certainly hope that that the goal is met and exceeded, because like I said, I just truly hope that that each of your chapters are able to, I mean, to make it there and have that experience. I know when I went to Icon in 2022, it was the best experience yet, and I definitely hope that yeah each of the members of the chapters are able to, like I said, attend and participate. And I know I already donated, but I hope that those viewing also donate as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your donation.
Of course. And I did want to, pivot a little bit too and say, so, like I said, I've been absolutely, like I said, loving our conversation thus far. And I want to ask, are there any questions, for me that you have, or anything else that you want to discuss that we haven't already, mentioned?
Of course, I actually have been wanting to ask you a question. So, how would you say your career has gone, and what advice would you give to people who are working on their career, such as me?
Ooh, yeah, I love that question. So, yeah, it's been so interesting. I mean, for me thinking about my career thus far, and even though I just finished my master's degree in May 2024, I mean, I think even overall, just the experiences I've had have just been extraordinary. I mean, and I think it truly goes to the saying of that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we don't know the reason. Sometimes we don't even like the reason. But nevertheless, though, it's some of those experiences that help make us who we are. And so for me, like I've been able to work since 2018 in local access, video production, and I would have never had that experience if I hadn't just looked at a little mailer that showed up at my in my mailbox, and so you never really know like where things will take you, and so even just as of recording, just yesterday I had went into do this volunteer experience, and they're just like, "Hey, are you able to teach a class starting on Monday?" And it's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, yeah, that's such short notice, but I mean, it's just sometimes just taking a chance. Thank you. Yeah, taking a chance on those opportunities. I know I'm personally excited for. I mean, for that one, but you know, so I would say that for me, I've been able to have just so many great experiences by just taking chances. And sometimes you never know what small opportunity will stick, or also which large opportunity may fail. But I think it's all part of that learning experience. I mean, I just started my podcast because, well, I thought this was going to be interesting, and I'd love to communicate with more people. And sure enough, I mean, this is like I said, this show continues after the two other podcast shows I've had, and this one's now at as of recording episode 85, and so we're almost at 100 by the end of 2024. And so I it's one of the things. It's just like it feels so surreal, but it's funny when you sort of embrace the unpredictability of life sometimes. um and so I would just say my advice is just, have fun with your experiences, but also to know where you want to go, the direction that you want to go, but don't be afraid to to take different routes sometimes, maybe even the scenic route, to get there. As long as you get, head towards the direction, and you may even realize on your way there that this isn't actually the direction I want to go. But I think that's a part of the fun of the journey.
No, definitely. Definitely resonate with a lot of the things you said. So I'm so glad that your journey up until now has been rewarding you this much. And I'm so excited to see how well you do in your next few opportunities.
Thank you so much, and I greatly, as I said, truly appreciate that. But yeah, and so I wanted to actually ask you before we begin closing out momentarily, is that I wanted to ask, since we were speaking about communication and the importance of making these connections, what would you say is the importance of making these connections, and even having our discussion now? I always say I want to have this podcast help bring people together, but how would you say you've been able to tell your story here?
I definitely think connections are such a big part in just moving forward, even if it's just at the point of learning. I feel like we learn so much from our peers. We learn so much from how they work their trajectory and where they are now, or even where they started. And the advice you can get from them is incredibly fulfilling and amazing for building blocks of where you're going to start leaving. And as to being able to tell my story, I feel like it's always good to just reflect on how you've managed your journey in the process and how you visualize yourself in the future. It's a big part of just manifesting where you want to go, and also just genuinely taking a moment to see it from a different perspective and be like, oh, I do like where this is going, or I feel like I can modify this a bit. So this, at least this podcast has been a great moment to just look back on everything I've done and where I'm going, and I'm definitely happy with all of it.
I love it, and like I said, and thank you so much, like I said, for for not just coming here, but also for supporting the content as well, and helping to uplift others in in your own right. And I certainly hope that you continue doing that as you continue throughout your journey.
Thank you so much. I definitely will.
Yeah, and if anyone viewing would like to connect with you, where are the best places for them to connect with you online and get to know you?
You can definitely check me out on LinkedIn. That's by my name, Joyce Garcia. And I also don't mind Instagram. That's underscore Joyce, right as you see it here. And my email, you can do it through my personal email, which is joycegarcia99. If not, through my institutional email, which is jgarciab25 adoasagrado.edu.
I love that, and I hope like I said, those viewing definitely come and connect with you, and so that way you can get to know them as well. But last but certainly not least, I did want to allow for you to go ahead and help close out our first episode of this autumn season by giving whether be an inspirational thought, life lesson, or whatever the case may be. The floor is all yours, Joyce.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And for anyone watching, keep doing you, keep moving forward. Know that everything, including life itself, is a process and it's just growing, learning, and moving forward. So make sure you do everything in your hands to do exactly that. Don't be afraid to get anywhere you feel you need to get to the end goal. If you think that there is a place where the space isn't there for you, make the space, because I promise you, you probably do belong there.
I love that. Thank you so much, like I said, for coming on, for speaking with us, and definitely keep me in touch with all the amazing things that you're doing now and in the future.
No, of course, and you too. I really am excited to see everything you plan on doing.
Thank you so much. And as I said, with our mission to bring people together, I will end by saying thank you, for tuning into the Tansson Talks show. We always appreciate your support. Continue tuning every week and take care and enjoy this autumn season. Bye for now.